All right. Right now in the 5 series, we're going to look at some Latin jazz albums. All right, Latin jazz albums. We're going to get straight into it. We're going to start off with Louis Gasca, one of my favorite trumpeters, a beautiful trumpet player. He's from Houston, Texas. That much I know. I don't know what his origins are, but with a name like Louis Gasca, I would assume that he's of Latin origin. And this is a great record. It's Louis Gasca by Louis Gasca, and it just demands your attention. Great Latin jazz, exemplary playing on this record. You got Carlos Santana is on here, Joe Henderson's on tenor saxophone, Stanley Clarke is on bass. It's just a lineup of all stars, and it is a great Latin jazz record. Like Louis Gasca does, it dips into some fusion and like some jazz rock too. But at its core, it's a drive of a Latin jazz record, a record not to be ignored. I love this record. Louis Gasca, he's a great trumpeter. It sounds like Miles. Eddie Palmieri and Carl Jader. This duet should have made more records. I think they made two or three, but this is my favorite. Bambolia. It's just two heavyweights. Like Carl Jader's the first Latin jazz guy I kind of got into. Eddie Palmieri is just one of the greats. Eddie on piano, of course, and Carl Jader on vibes. Carl Jader's vibes kind of steals the show to me, because it's a nice sprinkling of that vibe sound, and it gives it kind of a hip feel. But it's just a great Latin jazz record on the iconic and brilliant Tico label. Cannot be ignored. Once again, Carl Jader and Eddie Palmieri. If you see those two, you just got to grab it. Sabu, I love Sabu Martinez. Sabu Martinez, the percussionist. He's another one. I always thought was Cuban, but he's from New York. He's part of the Cubop movement, so I would assume that his origins are in Cuba. Once again, this is a great Latin jazz record. This record's like the kind of record that it's like a hip cool record. It's like a record that you hear at some kind of like a hip underground lounge space where everyone's lounging, everyone's being cool and really hip. This is one of those records. Sabu Jazz Español. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I paid quite a bit for this record, but it was worth it. Sabu Martinez, brilliant record. And his records go for money too, but that's nothing to do with nothing. Anyway, Art Pepper, Mucho Color. If that last record was like a hip underground bar type of record, this is like a great record for a chill picnic. It's not like breaking any rules. It's that West Coast feel. Art Pepper is a West Coast jazz artist, and they run through like some standards on there. Old Devil Moon, Fat Old Black Magic, and so on and so forth. But it's light and breezy, and it's fun, and it's effortless, and it's a beautiful record with a beautiful cover. Art Pepper, Mucho Color. And finishing off with the great Pharoah Sanders, right, running his way through a great Latin jazz jam of a record. This is I don't want to say a standard Latin jazz, but it's locked into that Latin jazz realm, and Pharoah Sanders just adds a little eccentricity to it by the fact it's Pharoah Sanders, right? Because he's like the edgy spiritual jazz guy, but he kind of reins himself in somewhat, and it's just a tight groove of a record. Oh, Pharoah, speak. And he speaks in this record, and I'm speaking now, because this is Hi-Fi Recluse. This is a good fine record, and we're talking about Latin jazz. Let's go.